But when it comes to the future, and especially your generation, Gen Z, how do we future-proof our careers?
How do we go after a $54 trillion problem? Your entry-level jobs are going to be displaced in 5 years. The data in AI, the data in crypto, the data behind drones. Like you have AI being the intelligence layer behind drones, crypto being the financial, the credentialing system to make sure that all authorizations on the blockchain are being done in real time. You kind of see these worlds converging to where is there a way where, these things operate fully autonomously, and is it actually ethically moral?
Government officials insist we will continue to keep you informed as this story unfolds.
Welcome to the Money Block with Matthew J. Moore, the Bitcoin-focused program that's waking the masses to the fiat money Ponzi scheme. Money is changing, and your freedom is at stake. So stick around and learn how to empower yourself for this new digital age. Now, here's your host, Matthew J. Moore.
And so welcome, America. Welcome, world. You are here at the right time, right place. Thanks for tuning in to the Money Block. We are coast to coast on BizTV, the syndicated Bitcoin program that's going to bring you some content that's going to enlighten you, maybe bring some new perspectives. And today is no different. We have a topic that we're going to dive into that maybe you are aware of some elements of it. Drones, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency. Of course, this is the show for that. But how do they all come together, and how does Gen Z relate to this picture here? I mean, obviously, they're the up-and-coming generation. But before we dive into that, I do want to make known to you a little secret, okay? So I want to keep you on the edge here. You're going to see a QR code that pops up probably right over here. That QR code is going to give you access, a free download to my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty. That will give you the ideas, principles to hopefully help you become sovereign in this new digital age in the coming years. So be sure to scan that and download that. That's my way of saying thank you for tuning in. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. But man, on the line today, we have a guest who knows a thing or two about drones, who knows a lot about his own generation, Gen Z, loves cryptocurrency, is familiar with artificial intelligence, mover and shaker. And I want to go ahead and bring him on the stage. His name is Brandon Lopez, and he is, like I said, the guy who's going to bring these topics together, make it make sense for us. He's got some perspectives. And so, Brandon, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, my friend?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yoked in the spirit, as always. But yeah, it's a blessing, man, and I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I believe this is a great show, and our generation definitely needs to hear more about sovereignty. I believe that's incredible. It's one of the coolest things we could possibly experience in our lifetime is this transition in finance of what it means to be a sovereign individual outside of all the currencies and things going around. But yeah, thank you for inviting me to the show.
Well, I know we got a quick segment here, but within a minute, just share some brief background on yourself before we get this show started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it started for me. I was just a kid, small farm boy out in Rockford, Illinois. And I was like, one day kind of looking out, watching planes go over my head, I was like, I always had the ambition of shooting for the stars, something that a lot of, rural kids kind of don't really get a whole lot of opportunities in their life, but you kind of hope. And so the big technologies at the time, was a big airplane for me. And I realized that was kind of my only shooting star, really. So kind of growing up with that mindset of, it's okay to dream and to have hope and to kind of think more and to expect more than just go work in the fields, So that kind of how it started for me. My parents had moved me down to Texas, and so when I went down and moved there, I went through my school in North Dallas and graduated top of my class and got some cool access to accelerated aerospace engineering courses and learned how to build drones, fly drones, all that stuff. And yeah, it was a great opportunity, man. And so putting education first in my life.
Well, I hate to cut it short, but man, I'm looking forward to diving into this conversation. You guys stay put, stay tuned, because we're going to dive into these topics. We'll be right back on the Money Block. What does it mean to be physically, spiritually, and financially free? The right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, these were the ideas that made America. But what happens to these ideas when America's money becomes compromised? What do you do when the very thing that you're working for day after day is fundamentally designed to enslave you? Whether it was a conspiracy or not, you won't believe what is about to happen in this country. Arm yourself today with the truth and build your life on the foundations for liberty. Rediscover freedom in the 21st century and grab a copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty. For just $11.99, you can support this radio show by finding a copy on Amazon or by going to mattjmoore.com. Again, that's mattjmoore.com. Don't wait, because freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. And this is segment 2, round 2 of the Money Block. I want to welcome all you Bitcoin newbies, lovers, and experts back to the program. Because, man, we are on a tight program here, but we got a topic that's going to maybe open your horizons, your viewpoint, your understanding of how these technologies are intersecting, because we are talking about drones, we're talking about cryptocurrency, we're talking about artificial intelligence, and we're talking about the next generation, Gen Z. But before we get things started, I just want to let you know that if you're watching online, because we are broadcasting online as well, be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, be a part of the conversation. And if you're part of Gen Z, hey, let us know what you think of this episode, because I think our guest today is going to relate. But let's go ahead and bring our guest back on. I know we were diving into his background, his history a little bit, and maybe we'll dive more into that. But Brandon Lopez is on the line with us right now, and he is the co-founder and CEO of EnCor Industries. And Brandon, you're here in Tulsa, Oklahoma as well with me. And man, is this a perfect place to do drones? Am I wrong?
It is, man. I mean, look at the skies; they can be clear. A fun fact about Oklahoma, for all those who are not from here, we have the largest standing, kind of longest history of aviation in all of America. So right here in the heartland, and the FAA. This is where the FAA literally got its wings. Is here in Oklahoma City. We have the largest aerospace base. Probably top competing, Air Force bases. So it's a wonderful place to, if you care about, aviation, anything in the aerospace. It's just a really, really great place to at least come work, come intern, come experience it.
Well, and you were sharing a little bit about your background, where you came from more of a rural country setting. You had dreams. Aviation has played a big part of your interests. Expound upon that a little bit for our viewers here, because I think it's going to be relevant to understand exactly why or how you found this industry, drones specifically, to be not only fascinating, but the future.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. So kind of just briefly touching base on what I had mentioned earlier. So when I was in North Dallas, I got access to technology where in rural parts of the world, there is no technology. So there might have been planes flying, crop dusters, two-wingers, tail draggers, but there wasn't technology, right? It may have been archaic or outdated, but our generation, we are kind of now known to pinpoint technology, right? We got succumbed by the whole social media wave. So we grew up now with, having digital access to all of our friends and family through Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, now all these, direct lines of messaging. Well, that's just a new form of, again, technology. How do we bridge that gap? Well, with aviation, I saw the same common denominator. I am in North Dallas, and I'm like, okay, flying drones at the Advanced Technology Complex and learning how to design, early stage fluid flow and dynamics and design modeling. And I'm like, this has to be the future, right? Where CAD and AutoCAD and then automations, and then you're able to quickly iterate designs and then put that out in the field or do a test or fly it up in the air. And it seemed like a faster recursive loop than going and building a $500,000 engine with wings and put it in the air. So I just saw that as like faster iterative cycles, and that's kind of how my brain latched on to AI, which we can get into later, because I just saw the same kind of common feedback loops. And like, that's the future, and I want to be involved with that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to connect those dots. But I do want to dive into, since we are a Bitcoin and crypto focused show, I want to, you shared a little bit about your interest in aviation and drones, but what was it that caught your attention with the crypto side of things? Was it a distrust in old financial systems? Was it something else? I mean, give us the story about your fascination with crypto.
Absolutely, man. It's a great story. I mean, John Reisky, the first project I've co-founded, launched, we raised $40,000, moved down to Miami, and this was, back 2021, right? So it was right when the NFT boom was happening, and we just wanted to be a part of it, man. I got down there, joined it as technically I could say I started back day trading, alts and small caps and stuff like that when I was in college, because, you got a few $100. How do I turn into like $5,000 or $10,000? You just messing around. Didn't really take it too seriously, it was enough to get around campus and all that. But when I really took it seriously, I realized the importance, and I really want to stress one thing for all Gen Z and all viewers really, but the sovereignty aspect is something that I didn't truly grasp until I got into the drone space, which I will make another connection there in a minute, with the tribes here in Oklahoma. But to crypto specifically, when I got down there and I got to witness people brokering Bitcoin, like these are young people in their mid-20s doing like BlackRock level deals, okay? And I was like, how is that possible? How you can move hundreds of millions of dollars and you're just moving on your phone with a couple hashes for a few cents? Like, it wasn't clicking, right? It was hard for my brain in the beginning, because it's like, this is non-traditional. But it made me realize this is the future of finance. It's the future of sovereignty, right? Like, I have full control over that. I don't have to go through 12 banks or a settlements or a clearinghouse. Like, it just happens instantaneously. It's peer-to-peer transactions. And think about that. That's the closest thing we have to sovereignty right now, is the peer-to-peer relationship. But now it's digitized on a blockchain, and it's truly changing the way we look at value. So.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, and Gen Z, since I'm a millennial, I remember a world without the internet, but I do know that, Gen Z grew up fully digital. So how does Bitcoin resonate with your peers who are dealing with, student debt, who are dealing with, gig work? I mean, you're talking about going down to Miami and seeing young people do these kind of deals with crypto. Is this the norm, or is this just kind of Miami specific?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And I battled with that for a while too. That's why I wanted to stay there. It is definitely centralized, just like venture capital, private equity, right? You got like 5 locations where all the money is being siphoned. But you look at the middle of America, like Tulsa, right? And you have all of these young people. It's, we're all humans, right? It's just the education, right? The awareness that even something like this is possible. Like, it is like not just science fiction. To answer your question plainly, it is in centralized locations. They're in hubs right now. But with the emergence of the internet and what we have now with Web3 and social media, like, we have the ability to go and generate value, to go generate capital, to go out into a desert and create an oasis. It is possible now. That's my whole, my old job as, leading the company at EnCor is, yes, we are building drones, but it is a catalyst vehicle, right, for safe super intelligence and everything. But more importantly, why we have, and I'll talk about this later, but why we have launched the Drone Capital of the World initiative, podcast, event, conglomeration that we have, is just, it's a campaign to let everyone know that it is possible, that through drones as a catalyst, that capital will follow. And it's a global initiative. It's a global kind of calling or wake-up call to get people activated. I was at the UN for 9 months, man, and I'll keep it short. But when I came back, and I had privilege of serving with AY and Battery Tour and Antonio and Gutierrez and the whole team. But when I came back, I just was like, gosh, everyone kept telling me, all these Fortune 500 CSOs, how do we activate the youth? Like, we have all the money, we have all the resources, we have billions of dollars, but how do we spend it? Do we keep wasting it? Do we write grants? And I was like, no, man, you just got to talk to us. Like, we're not dumb. Like I'm sure you get that, Matt. I mean, even being the millennial, like it's just, I think there's been this cost curve of intelligence that's kind of starting to find its coaxium, in a minimum, where that point is where the world is starting to pick up and realize that we are aware and we're ready to take on a new venture, a new challenge like Bitcoin or digital finance. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, so we have probably about a minute before we got to go to break. But when it comes to Gen Z in general, would you consider most of your peers involved in crypto?
No, I'd say the common majority is not. I'd say 3 out of 10. It's a third. I'd say it's a good third. I'd love to see that double, but the only way you do that is through jobs, right? People need work, so that's why I'm focused on drone specialist internship roles right now through EnCor, because it's get them jobs, get them income, show them crypto, show them Bitcoin. We need a very systemic funnel that's going to enable, again, that access for everyone.
Yeah, it's true. If you don't have money to invest, or if you don't have those opportunities, it's hard to jump into that space. But before we go to break, I just want to let you guys know that if you're watching this program and you'd like a free copy of my Amazon best-selling book, well, just hit that QR code, scan it with your phone, and you can get a free download. It's my way of saying thank you for tuning in. But we will be right back. We got more with Brandon Lopez. We're going to talk more about drones, artificial intelligence, how cryptocurrency fits into all of it. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break. AI is here, money is changing, but freedom has never been more important. I'm Matthew J. Moore, the Money Block host on BizTV, Amazon bestseller, and Bitcoin policy advisor. Book my up to 60-minute talk, Redefining Wealth and Freedom God's Way. I'll teach your church, business, or civic group how to secure money, freedom, and faith in the digital age. This is urgent, so I'm slashing my fee from $1,000 to $500. Cover my travel, and I'm there. Scan the QR code now. Spots are filling fast. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is round 3 of the Money Block. I want to welcome you back to the program. We are broadcasting coast to coast on BizTV. So no matter where you're watching or listening from, because we are on the radio, we're online, we're everywhere. So I just want to welcome you guys back to the show, because we have been diving into a topic that some of you might be familiar with, but we're trying to find the familiar connection between the technology of drones, cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, and Gen Z. I do want to let you guys know that if you see that QR code that pops up on the screen right about over here, be sure to get out your phone, scan it. It's my way of giving you a thank you gift for tuning in. It is a free download, a digital download of my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty, and it'll give you the ideas, principles that you might need to maintain your sovereignty in this coming digital age. We've got on the line Brandon Lopez. He is passionate about drones. He's got a company that is focused on the matter. He's the co-founder and CEO of EnCor Industries. And Brandon, we had to go to break, but you were kind of giving us some background, some history, sharing insights about Gen Z, their relationship with crypto. But I do want to kind of walk through this initial aha moment, light bulb moment for you when, you were like, hey, this company that I'm creating, the things that we're doing, this is the future. But more importantly, what part of the economy, what industry will drones disrupt first, in your opinion?
Great question, brother. And for context, guys, I served at the United Nations back in 2023, and I think I mentioned that a little kind of high level, but to get it a little more detail, I'm in the rooms with, the kings, the princes, prime ministers, chancellors, people that are just trying to do policy at a very, very high level. And they all said the same thing. How do we activate all of the youth around the world? There's 1.8 billion young people ages 16 to 24, and as the storyteller of the SDGs, I get all the inputs all the time. So I'm sitting there listening. How do we go after a $54 trillion problem, right? And which is, early, your entry level jobs are going to be displaced in 5 years. How do we adversely go about solving that? And as an engineer, I was like, I can solve it. So with the drone space specifically, I'd always, like I said, always grown up aviation, technology, knew that I was into something here, but I just didn't know what that bridge would be. Well, when I'm hearing these problems, it's kind of like building a company. You have to build a problem statement, solution statement, how you're going to go to market, all those things. In my mind, I'm like, I just heard the problem. I have enough experience with the solution. Only thing I don't know is my go to market. Well, going back to Tulsa, here talk about sovereignty, right? You look at, we are the only state in the United States that has access to 39 sovereign tribal nations. And what does that mean? I mean, they have access to their own land, their own airspace, right? Their own sovereignty. And what does that do? It lets us build quickly, and you'll learn if you do anything in the manufacturing hard tech space, it's all about red tape. How fast can you get around red tape? Because regulations, legal, all that stuff, it literally is an inhibitor. It is the growth, or it is the growth, or the brakes that stop what you're trying to do. So with the drone space, the aha moment for me was when I realized, holy crud, I could take those problems and create a vehicle to employ or have an internship, like an initial entry-level job program for all youth around the world, right? Here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on sovereign land, right? Think sovereign land, Bitcoin, right? Like sovereignty, so that there is a guaranteed place for jobs, right? No matter what happens with AI, if it takes all the jobs, there's a guaranteed place for jobs. And it was so far-fetched, even when that was crazy. I'm like, no, I think we're going to solve a $54 trillion problem. I'll do it in 5 years. Well, this year I just finished the blueprint and, working on some curriculum with some affiliated partners, universities here locally, to distribute that. But why EnCor now? It is because once I saw that capital is following the drone space by the magnitudes of hundreds of thousands of drones, millions of drones. You look at the wars in Ukraine, capital is following drones. So I was like, what if capital follows drones? That means jobs are going to follow drones. So you put two and two together and you realize that you just systemically solved the problem, right? You solved for X. So that in essence is like the aha moments. And so, what we're doing, just deploying, ultra low cost, high valued, drones at scale for U.S. and NATO allies, specifically focusing again on the DFR market, the drone as a first responder, which you mentioned earlier, but that is going to be the fastest growing market because, we had 94 policemen die last year in the United States. Did you guys know 180 kids now don't have dads? That's a big problem to me. As a Christian man, that's a big thing. I want to see men home with their wives and their children. And we need to stop putting humans in the front line. If we're going to, resolve a conflict, let's send systems, right, to do that. And it's just the growth and evolution of how we resolve the conflict. But yeah, domestic terrorism is a big thing. School shootings are a big thing. We're noticing all these kind of things locally that we can solve with drones and sending them first to detect and deter without putting the human first. So that's what we're doing.
I mean, we're kind of hitting on it a little bit, but, as far as game-changing drone applications, what are you betting on in the next decade, I would say, when it comes to transforming daily life, when it comes to drones?
Yeah, the bet that I have is that there's going to be more drones in the sky than cars on the ground. In 30 years, we'll have more drones in the sky than cars on the ground. And that's why I said we're bringing 15,000 jobs from around the world through the Global Youth Parliament and the associations that I'm affiliated with as the envoy, because people just need to see as possible. Again, I'm from rural parts of Rockford, Illinois. No one knows, right? Poplar Grove, which is my exact town, but I grew up, But I gave a keynote speech to the Prime Minister of Nepal, and I'm sitting there in front of these guys, and they're like, well, how the heck are we going to do this here in Nepal? We have 73,000 people, right? Young people that want to get engaged, but they don't know how, there's no STEM. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying, like, that times 87 other countries is my TAM right now that I'm focused on for jobs. So the drone internship specialist drone program here in Tulsa that we're building is that global solution to the entry level job, get them in, show them capital, show them how to create some sort of stability, independence in their life, then show them crypto and finance and digital sovereignty, which is, the ultimate goal.
Well, we have about a minute before we have to go to break. But man, I'll tell you what, the crypto aspect of it, you've raised a lot of capital as well at a young age. What's one quick piece of advice that maybe you would have for somebody at 18 or 19 years old?
I would not chase the things of this world, the dangling, the shining objects. I chased a lot in my life, and I've hurt a lot of people by doing that. And I have made promises, and I have fallen short on those promises. But what I'd recommend is you just stay true to who you are, because God made you exactly the way He intended for you to be, and you don't have to go be anything else. Everything within you now is exactly who you're supposed to be. And it's just a process. And it's a slow process of discovering that. But once you rediscover, the Christ within you, that who you really are internally, that's where the business, the company, the ideas, the dreams start manifesting before you. But yeah, just stay true to who you are, because you don't have to change who you are, man.
Well, that is good advice, and maybe we'll dive deeper when we come back from break. But guys, we're going to talk more about crypto, drones, and AI. Stay put. This is The Money Block. We'll be right back after this break. AI is here, money is changing, but freedom has never been more important. I'm Matthew J. Moore, the Money Block host on BizTV, Amazon bestseller, and Bitcoin policy advisor. Book my up to 60-minute talk, Redefining Wealth and Freedom God's Way. I'll teach your church, business, or civic group how to secure money, freedom, and faith in the digital age. This is urgent, so I'm slashing my fee from $1,000 to $500. Cover my travel, and I'm there. Scan the QR code now. Spots are filling fast. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is round 4 of the Money Block, and thanks for tuning in, because we are coast to coast on BizTV. We're online, we're on the radio, we're on TV, we're everywhere. So no matter where you're tuning in from, in fact, if you're watching online, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, be a part of the conversation, because I think the topic at hand is relevant to everybody's future. In fact, we've been touching on technologies like drone technology, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, their relation, and how Gen Z kind of falls into all this. It's been a great conversation with our guest today, but before I bring him back on to dive deeper into our topic at hand, I just want to let you guys know that as a thank you gift, I want to just let you know that there is a QR code right over here. Be sure to scan that, get out your phone, and get a free copy, a digital download of my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty. And it'll give you the principles, ideas, and tools to hopefully maintain your sovereignty in these coming years and decades ahead. So enjoy that, and thanks for tuning in. But on the line, I've been talking to Brandon Lopez. He is a Gen Zer himself. He is the co-founder, CEO of his great company here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on EnCor Industries. Brandon, thanks for joining me. Let's dive deeper into this conversation that we've been having. And I know that you've brought some great points, some great insights to the table, but let's fast forward to those 5 to 10 years from now, and let's figure out, okay, artificial intelligence, crypto, drones, how do you see that future coming together and merging?
Yeah, no, dude, they call it the singularity. I don't know if you follow Ray Crookswell and all the guys, but it's a singularity moment. And if you guys also want another podcast to listen to, this is what I listen to whenever I need my news for the week, because I don't listen to Fox and them anymore. I do listen to Pierre Diamandis' Moonshot. Shout out to the guys. They do a phenomenal job. They're pumping out almost daily now. But they do a really good job with a lot of these similar type of news coverings, right? Where does 3 or 4 industries collide? What's the singularity? How is that? Guys, it's coming pretty quickly. And, as we encroach on this idea of AGI, as a thought leader, I'm constantly being asked to do keynotes and speak on this idea of digital sovereignty. And so when I get called to speak to prime ministers and I go called to the nations to provide my insights onto that, it really comes down to this. AI, crypto, drones is going to become kind of like the digital, like the police force of the future. It's going to police the human race. There's a lot of different ways to skin this cat, but the cleanest way to say is, they will all, like the data in AI, the data in crypto, the data behind drones. It's one, like you have AI being the intelligence layer behind drones, crypto being the financial, the credentialing system to make sure that all authorizations on the blockchain are being done in real time. It's being done at a faster rate than the human computation. So you kind of see these worlds converging to where is there a way where these things operate fully autonomously on our behalf, and is it actually ethically moral, and how they're making these things, making the decisions happen. So yeah, the story, I'll kind of, I was going to lead with this, but I thought I'd give you guys context first. But the story really, to ground all this, I'm in the Conference of Parties in 2023 in Dubai, and I'm watching all of these heads of state, right? These really, really powerful dudes, right? No cars, right? All airlift, all air taxi, eVTOL. And you think about, what does this mean in like 10 years, when this, it's not just in Saudi Arabia, but when does this become in the United States, in the central part of America, in Miami, in New York, or LA? And it was a wake up moment. I was like, wow, this future stuff's coming really fast, and they're pouring billions of dollars into it. Granted, they're different part of the world, different form of capital, but I mean, how soon do we see crypto making a wave, right? Bitcoin becoming the leading standard of how we build drone infrastructure or AAM infrastructure in the Midwest here in the United States. And so in 5 to 10 years, I mean, I truly believe we will have a convergence of those three, at least in some sort of small form factor of like distributed physical workforce calibration, or coordinated payment systems, or like an autonomous decision layer, like piloting decision layer on behalf of the drone, using predetermined flight variables and whatnot, working with TRAM and SATCOM and all these things, and knowing all of like the FAA regulations and all of the laws and stipulations on how current airspace is regulated will be done autonomously. Like I'll give you a great example. This is a project that is being done through one of the universities. I can't disclose this because it is proprietary information, but we are working on an autonomous drone highway system powered by the blockchain. And if you think about what that means, in the air, right, an autonomous aerial blockchain system. Air taxis, like if you have Uber for the air, right, how do you know what airspace you're entering into and how much is that going to cost? We know you can go drive a tollway and you get toll tag, right? Well, what's going to happen when the drones can, throw their IP address off to another drone and then do a switch variable, and then now you have two drones in two separate locations, but the IP address over here, and then so you can't like actually tax that IP address during there. So you have to think about like rural Bluetooth meshing, and you have to think about the hardware system itself. Like, are the avionics compatible, right, with that airspace and that aerodynamics and that weather patterns? So there's so many variables that come into it from the hardware standpoint, even the software. But when that convergence happens, and we do see like fully autonomous drone highway systems, right, done with crypto tolling systems, crypto tagging, right, that's a very interesting world, right, to where, and then last point on that the piece of advice I was given recently from one of my mentors was that drones are going to do what to transportation what this guy, our iPhone, has done to communication. So in just like 20 years, right, we've watched how quickly we can pick up a phone and just communicate with someone, right? Whereas before you had to go set up dates and times. Drones are the same thing, where you're no longer going to have to think about your feet as just your only form of mobility. You can pick up a phone, click a button, and then it just airlifts you, right? That's another project that I'm working on. That's kind of top secret, can't really disclose too much, but
Sure.
Think about airlifting soldiers off the battlefield in less than 5 minutes autonomously. How do you do that during a global conflict? These are all things that you have to start thinking about. What if our legs, like, we could not think of them as just, ways to move? So all this is coming in the next 5 to 10 years.
So, I mean, we all love the convenience and the advantages of technology increasing and being an ever increasingly part of our lives. But as somebody who is big into the Bitcoin space, I personally value open source systems, ability to maintain control over my own data. Do you see, I mean, this is a kind of off the cuff here, but I do see people being concerned about this triple threat integration between, you mentioned drones and blockchain technology and AI being this policing force, but as great as these technologies can be in one direction, they can also be bad in another direction. So do you see a fork in the road for decentralized peer-to-peer open source systems versus these closed-looped systems that would be tyrannical in some sense?
Yeah, so you guys can go look up AI for Good Foundation. I was affiliated, not directly worked with them when I was at, I did serve with the UN. And what's fascinating about that group, they had designed about 17 AI projects for all 17 goals that I was, again, working on. That was propagated on the only premise of how do we build safe, ethical AI solutions for the global problems, right? The global SDGs. And so with that in mind, going down to the core root, which is, to your point, the fork in the road, the divergence happens when you kind of have bad AI and good AI, right? You have this, and really comes down to the players, right? As you know, AI is not a new thing. We've had it for decades, It's just like anything, you cook, you bake, right? You can have different ingredients, right? And you've had the ingredients, but then you put them together, it just so happens now it's like, oh my goodness, right? Now we have a cake, or you can make something new. And it fundamentally changed your experience, your human experience. So with AI, it's always been just it's been a tool for us to be able to recursive like our own knowledge, our own understanding, our own learnings faster, right? Shorten that feedback loop so we can learn and improve, augmented intelligence, right? But now what we're seeing it happen, or the tool evolve into, is a medium of exchange. Like we're using AI as a form of payment, as a form of like communicative value, right? As data, right? That is the core. We're nothing. It is the core value, right? So then, if we're looking at, will it be good or bad? How are people manipulating the data? Is it good data? Is it synthetic data? Is it, raw data? You get down to that layer and you start looking. Well, who are the players manipulating the data? And then you say, oh well, institutional investors. Oh, Gen Z. We have two kind of perspectives, right? You have decentralized look and a centralized outlook, but. I think it comes down to the holder, and I believe anyone who's holding Bitcoin is going to be.
Yeah, well, hey man, sorry, we got to go to break, but man, this is a topic everybody wants to know about, so stick around because we got more with Brandon. We'll be right back on The Money Block. AI is here, money is changing, but freedom has never been more important. I'm Matthew J. Moore, the Money Block host on BizTV, Amazon bestseller, and Bitcoin policy advisor. Book my up to 60-minute talk, Redefining Wealth and Freedom God's Way. I'll teach your church, business, or civic group how to secure money, freedom, and faith in the digital age. This is urgent, so I'm slashing my fee from $1,000 to $500. Cover my travel, and I'm there. Scan the QR code now. Spots are filling fast. What does it mean to be physically, spiritually, and financially free? The right to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness, these were the ideas that made America. But what happens to these ideas when America's money becomes compromised? What do you do when the very thing that you're working for day after day is fundamentally designed to enslave you? Whether it was a conspiracy or not, you won't believe what is about to happen in this country. Arm yourself today with the truth and build your life on the foundations for liberty. Rediscover freedom in the 21st century and grab a copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Foundations for Liberty. For just $11.99, you can support this radio show by finding a copy on Amazon or by going to mattjmoore.com. Again, that's mattjmoore.com. Don't wait, because freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is segment 5 of the Money Block. Welcome back to the show. We are broadcasting coast to coast on BizTV. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in because, man, we have been having a great conversation about this dynamic relationship between cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, and the wonderful technology known as drone technology. And we've had the perfect guy on the show to talk about it, and I'll bring him back up here in a minute. But before we do, I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you tuning in so much that I am giving away a free copy of my Amazon best-selling book. It's a digital download, so if you scan that QR code right over there, you'll have access to that, and it's my way of saying thank you for watching and being a part of the show. In fact, I would love, if you're watching online, for you to like, comment, share, be a part of the conversation. Let us know what you think, and that'll help us make better programs in the future. So, guys, like I said, we've had Brandon Lopez on the show over the past hour, and he's unique because he is part of Generation Z, and he's into crypto. He's into drones. In fact, he is the co-founder and CEO of EnCor Industries, and he's right here in my backyard in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he's doing some great things. He's a mover and shaker, making drones happen, making drones the future. So, Brandon, let's dive into this. You know, we were talking about AI, crypto, and drones kind of exploding, coming to the scene. But when it comes to the future, and especially your generation, Gen Z, how do we future-proof our careers moving forward? Because we know there's going to be a lot of disruption. People are scared that they're going to lose their jobs. I mean, there's people in university right now who are studying who maybe, possibly, their jobs won't even exist 4 years from now once they graduate.
You know, great question. I owe so much of my philosophical understanding of the world, how the universe functions and everything, to, you know, a couple classes, modernity and antiquity, when I was at the Honors College, University of Houston. And I don't think I would be equipped to handle this $54 trillion problem had I not had those two classes. And what it's taught me about life is that you have boxes, right? And then there is literally just a whole world outside of those, in the box of which the lens of life that we're conditioned to look through. And this box is a system. You know, I'm not here talking about politics or, you know, my other, you know, beliefs or anything like that, but it's just a fundamental law of how the human brain has to function. It needs a focal point. You need a focus, right? You need a derivative of what can come from the execution of that. You know, when I look at least, you know, jobs and the future of work, and you'll see on my LinkedIn, you know, building kingdom first infrastructure for future of work, you know, I think about the person and I think about sovereignty, and I'd love to even, you know, if you have any input on that as well. When I say digital sovereignty, I'm talking about the only asset left when AI has majority control over the intelligence, right, within, you know, our human conscious kind of sphere, our network, our global network here. Because you think about like gold, right, as a scarce resource, as a sovereign resource. You know, silver, right, there's a finite amount of it. Well, when AI doesn't care about the physical things of this world, what becomes scarce? The only thing that's scarce to it is compute. What do we know about blockchain? It has hashes. It is encrypted, right? 258 hash, right? SHA, right?
Yeah.
The higher the hash, that's why these quantum computers that are growing and developing their encryption rates, that is sovereignty. When you can say, I have the highest encrypted, you know, throughput communication vehicle for moving data through a pipeline, right? That in essence becomes an asset, its own sovereignty vehicle. So for the youth, you know, young people, what I am teaching and building a curriculum with some, you know, our universities here in locally, is a curriculum that teaches you, one, how to clone yourself, how to digitally upload yourself. Because one, you need to be able to separate yourself from the understanding that everything is so physical. You have to start thinking from a digital like landscape. Then two, once you have that capacity to mobilize, how do you then become a digital broker between data points, right? Between left and right, move as if you are the AI, right? Connecting things. And then third, you know, when it comes to computationally, looking at, again, what's the currency of AI? It's compute. And so how do you start moving from a compute standpoint? The only thing we have right now is Bitcoin. And so tying all back to crypto and everything, you have to start in your mind, again, getting to that mental place of that is the currency, right? That is the food, that is the water, that is of the future is compute. Now, yes, we are trying to build data centers which require water and infrastructure and solar energy to harness, right, the physical. But once it gets uploaded, there's breakthroughs on DARPA right now that I can't talk about that literally have figured out how to put an entire $50 billion data center on our laptop, bro. Like literally the size of our computer desk.
Yeah.
And it requires an nth input of power consumption. We are figuring this out. We're sending data centers to space, yes, but we're figuring this out. And guess where it's coming from? Our generation.
Right.
Because we figured out, again, the loopholes. Like we're seeing past all of the fluff, all of the fat. We're getting straight to the signal. So that's really what it comes down for jobs, right? When I say digital sovereignty, starts with you. You have to own your own data sets. Then 2, you need you need to physically be working on something tangibly that keeps you engaged locally from a human standpoint, because we are humans, we have to embody the vehicle. So that's why I have the drone internship program, because I'm trying to engage people on a local level to still have community and fellowship. So hopefully that help bridge the two worlds.
Yeah, and man, if we had more time, I would dive deeper into that. But I do want to give you some time before we have to close out the show. Where could people follow you, find your work, get in touch with you if they like what you had to say?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Braylo24 on Instagram. Not really active right now. I've been off for a while. You can find me _Braylo over at LinkedIn as well. But yeah, guys, email me, Brandon, BRANDON at EnCor Inc. ENCORINC.com. Ship me an email. I usually get back pretty quick. I'll be probably activating my socials soon, but reactivating them. But the biggest thing that I would kind of wait for, at least definitely shoot me an email if you're interested. But I'm releasing my book in partnership with the UN to activate, again, all the youth of the world. So finally now to take my blueprint and activate it through a series of universities and channels and all this stuff. But you'll like it, guys, because the book is called Returning to Eden. And it is my understanding of how high agency, which I know that's a termed word that we all use, high agency and aura and all the things, right? Like how is this the master skill?
Well, Brandon, man, you brought some great insight today. I'm sorry we had to cut the program short, but man, we'll see you guys same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Money Block. We'll see you next time.
The opinions and suggestions expressed on this program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by program sponsors or any station, media company, or platform broadcasting this program. This program is a product of Moore Media, LLC. The information in this broadcast is not intended as investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Moore Media, LLC, and the company or platform broadcasting this program is not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Moore Media, LLC, and the company or platform broadcasting this program makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk.